So, it's time for another project. Today we are looking at Mega Drive 2 VA1 PAL Asian model. And as you can see, I already have a switch here, and that's the 50-60 Hz mod. But there's just one problem. It doesn't output color properly in 60 Hz mode. And that's because of how this works, how the little video encoder works. It takes the color burst frequency from, like, your clock crystal that the switch is covering. The clock crystal, right? Which on the Asian, or the PAL Mega Drives, is a different frequency, so it means it outputs the color burst at a completely wrong frequency, which basically means it's just garbage. However, there is a way to fix that. You get yourself a clock crystal, and you tie it into this little pad right here, and you cut the trace right there, and you need to power the clock crystal oscillator thingy off this regulator, right? So I got the wire ready to do that, and I have that itty bitty little clock crystal. It's much smaller than I thought it was going to be. Like, here is an X-Acto blade, just to show how small that thing is, man. And just to show you how small the wire I have to or how big the wire is compared to it. That is quite a size difference. Come on, focus. Focus, you fuck. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, tiny little oscillator crystal I have to solder in. Oh, and I also drilled a hole properly for the switch instead of just having it come out this little hole, which I was doing with the switch before, but as you can see, this is a single throw, single pole. And this is a double pole, single throw. So, that means it can do two things at once. So I'll probably reuse this switch, though, for the language modification, because I didn't do that because I only had one switch, and I wanted to actually do that once I have the ability to completely, like, wire this up properly. By the way, this is an alternate way of wiring up that switch, which is much easier than doing it than trying to solder to those tiny little traces. You can just do it through these little through-hole components here. And I'm surprised no one actually, like, follows that method, because it's actually really, really, really easy to do. And you get the same thing out of it in the end. So, yeah, so once I'm done, I will probably cut this now and go into modify this. As you can see, I already have my soldering iron, and my phone just does not want to focus right now. But I already have my soldering iron. It's not heating up because I don't have it plugged in, but soldering iron here is ready. I don't have my solder here because it's like over there somewhere, and I'll just grab it. And yeah, so once this is wired in, I will show it. And so yeah, this is a PAL Asian Mega Drive. And you can tell. And I just cut myself off because I hit my back button on my phone. Oh, well. So, okay, like I was going to say, though. Yeah, as you can see, it's a PAL Asian model because it has the Japanese-style colors and stuff, and it's actually region-free. You can put any kind of cartridge in here that you want, and it'll work. Like, you can just jam it in there and it'll work. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, especially once I have this modded, though. That'll be the best thing, because then I don't actually have to mod this top panel to play, like, certain types of games. I can just put anything in there. And then I can also just flip the switches and get whatever signal out I want. So, hey, that's really cool, but I'll be back when this is done being soldered and shit. Ooh. And so I accidentally cut myself off, rather. And then I proceeded to, for some reason my phone did not record it, which was basically just me talking more about this. But as you can see, the mod is now done. I've installed a language switch, which, focus, you fuck. Come on, focus. Come on, phone. It's not hard. There we go. Okay, so that's the language mod. It goes here. I use this blue wire, which I got out of a kit for a Cool Runner. I had some spare wire, because it came with wiring for both a fat and a, slim Xbox 360. But anyway, so I had a bunch of spare wire because of that. So as you can see, the language mod is installed here, and that's piggybacked off of this, which is the 60-50 Hz mod. Now this 50-60 Hz mod switch, as you can see, I drilled a hole for it, and the other I just kind of widened the hole for that. And this goes to the 5 volts, and I'm shaking a little bit here for some reason, but this goes to the 5 volts. There's the crystal in there. I put some heat shrink around it. Goes here to that leg of the switch, which would be 60 hertz. So output 60 hertz. Then you have this other wire, which goes to that resistor. If you can focus, come on, phone, you got it. Almost there. Come on. Come on, phone. You can do it. Come on. Okay, well, I'm going to have to do it that way. So it goes to that resistor there. You cut a trace, and I accidentally ripped that trace off the board, which wasn't a big deal because that trace was causing interference, apparently. So I actually had to solder the other, that last wire to underneath the board, and that goes to the bottom leg. And the center leg goes to this little resistor. And then the leg here goes to jumper 3, where I also got the 5 volts. And ground, you can actually get them here, and not everybody knows that for some reason. But yeah, you can get them there. And it's the same as if you were to use the trace that's over here somewhere. I still had to cut the trace there, obviously, which, again, my phone doesn't want to focus, but we'll just ignore that. So once you get that trace, you can actually use the jumper wires here. So yeah, just a little tip if you're ever doing a Mega Drive and all you want to do is these. You can actually just use these points for soldering too. Not everybody knows that. Also, that jumper 4 is also a duplicate of jumper 1, because the idea was they were going to use jumper wire on either jumper 4 or jumper 3. And jumper 3 is, well, 50 hertz, 60 hertz is jumper 4. So if you simply just want to convert a Mega Drive to be 60 hertz, right, you can replace this crystal with the one that would normally go in the 60 hertz model, cut that trace over here, like the one that goes, yeah, right there, and then just put a piece of wire on jumper 4, and just connect those 2 pins, and, well, what do you know, it'll be 60 hertz. So, yeah, it is, I simply use this wire because you have to solder to a tiny little trace right here. And it's easier to use a wire that small than it is to use one of these massive wires I've been using. And so it looks like a spaghetti of wires, but it does work, thankfully. So the language switch, Japanese, English. 50 hertz, 60 hertz. Really easy to remember. And I'm just going to put the top cover on this on and show it working. So, ooh. My phone still has its light on, whatever. Anyway, so this is the Mega Drive hooked up, and as you can see, and yes, I know the TV's making noises. As you can see, there's 2 switches on the back. Ooh, that one's like really nice and professionally done, actually. Come on. Focus! Wants to focus on the background. Well, anyway, you get the idea. I'll post better pictures on my Twitter or something. If we turn this on, I'll just cover this up with my finger. I'm sorry it looks all like red now, but Sega. Ooh, would you look at that? It's in color. Whoa, magic. So as you can see, it goes to 50 hertz, 60 hertz, 50 hertz, 60 hertz, and this is the Japanese switches. Pretty much does nothing in Sonic 2 as far as I know. I could actually be really wrong on that, but I'm flipping it, does nothing. If I recall, it changes Tails' name? Yeah, it does. Okay, so if I reset, switch it to Japanese. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, I get it. Now it says miles. Also, I can flip it to 50 hertz Japanese, which doesn't exist as far as I know, but it still boots with Sonic 2, so I'll just ignore that. Ooh, it's Japanese. And PAL. Which, this game apparently doesn't seem to care about the fact that that doesn't exist. But. So yeah. Mega Drive 2. PAL Asian Mega Drive 2. Modified to work. My hand is shaking like holy fuck. Modified to work as a region, like completely region-free console. So, like I said, makes fun noises when I push on it. Anyway. So yeah, I'm probably going to go play some Sonic 2 now, because I went through a lot of effort, and this took a lot of time to do, and it was so worth it in the end, because now I have a very unique Mega Drive. Not a lot of people can say they have one of these, especially one that works on American TVs. So, yeah. That's the PAL Asian Mega Drive 2 modified to work on an NTSC TV.